In episode 167 of the Guitar Music Theory podcast, I guide you through my process of learning songs using It Hit Me Like a Hammer by Huey Lewis and the News. Greetings, guitar engineers. Welcome to the Guitar Music Theory podcast. If you're captivated by the magic of guitar music and eager to unravel the mysteries of music theory, you're in the right place. I'm Desi Cerna, your host, fellow guitar enthusiast, and author of Fretboard Theory, Guitar Theory for Dummies, Guitar Picking Mechanics, and more. In each episode of this podcast, I delve into the fascinating world of guitar and music theory, demystifying complex concepts and providing practical insights to help you become a more informed and skilled guitarist. Together, we'll explore chord progressions, scales, improvisation techniques, and more, unlocking the secrets that make guitar music an irresistible art. Today, in episode 167, I guide you through my process of learning songs using It Hit Me Like a Hammer by Huey Lewis and the News. This track showcases some chunky 80s rock power chords and a bluesy minor pentatonic guitar solo. I'm going to show you how I tackle learning a new song, what resources I use, how I figure things out, practice, and commit my parts to memory. It's also going to be a bit of show and tell today as I use my brand new PRS SE NF3 guitar. I can't wait to tell you about it and for you to hear it. It's going to be a great discussion, but before we get started, what should you specifically be working on right now to become a better guitarist? Go to my website, guitarmusictheory.com. Answer the question I ask you about your playing, and I'll send you free custom video instruction that's calibrated to your current level. Whether you're a beginner still needing to learn the basics, or you need help with bar chords, finger picking, guitar soloing, or understanding music theory, I have a free course for you. I can provide you with a plan to put you on track to fill gaps in your playing so you can move forward and reach your music goals. Enroll in your free video course now at guitarmusictheory.com. You can click on the link in the podcast show notes. All right, we are ready to dive in. So the song is It Hit Me Like a Hammer by Huey Lewis and the News. And if you've been listening to this podcast recently, you know that I occasionally do some shows with a Huey Lewis tribute band called The Heart of Rock and Roll. And this is one of the songs that I have yet to perform with the band, and so I wanted to familiarize myself with it. So I'm prepared if it comes up during some future performances. It's not a song that I was familiar with, and it's not a song that I played before. So I had gotten a lot of questions recently in response to me talking about preparing for the show and learning songs and stuff. People ask me questions like, did you use tablature, and what resources did you use, and, how did you practice, and did you use any software to slow it down? And how do you remember your parts? And how do you have to count while you're playing? And all sorts of actually really good questions that obviously show that people who are trying to learn themselves are wondering what that process is like, and perhaps they're struggling to commit songs to memory or play things, and they just wanted more information about what my process was like. So I thought, you know what? Let's do a podcast where I'll actually walk you through a song as I learn it. Now, I actually did some work ahead of time so that I was prepared for this podcast. So I did familiarize myself with the song and found some helpful resources and had to do some other things. For example, the original recording was a little out of tune, so I had to tune it so I could play along with my guitar in standard tuning. So we'll talk about all those things, and I'm going to talk about my brand new guitar. It's a PRS SE NF3. That stands for Narrow Field Pickups. Kind of looks like a Stratocaster, design here. And, well, it sounds like this. Let me play it for you. All right. So I'm on the bridge pickup here. I'm playing through my Kemper profiling amplifier, and I'm using a profile of a Mesa Boogie Mark III amp, which I understand is actually one of the amps that Chris Hayes from Huey Lewis and the News used. I don't know if he used it on this song or not. I wasn't trying to tone match this song specifically. I just wanted to find something that was in the ballpark, and this sounded pretty good to me. I actually used this for a lot of my lead work that I do in the Huey Lewis band, you know. Sounds pretty good to me. So that's available from Tone Junkie. Just go to tonejunkie.com or tonejunkistore.com. If you're a Kemper or Helix user, they also have a lot of sounds available for other guitar modelers and stuff. They're good guys, friends of mine. I've done some work with them, and this is a great profile here. So yeah, you know what? Let me tell you a little bit about this guitar and why I got this guitar. And it's funny because this is something that PRS just released, and prior to the release of this, I was talking with someone, and I had mentioned that I had gotten help from PRS guitars over the years where just because I'm a content creator and get them a lot of exposure, where they've given me some deals and worked with me and loaned me some guitars and stuff like that. And someone's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, what have they sent you, recently? I said, well, nothing. I've been using the same guitars for a while. And it's like, well, if they'll work with you, like, why don't you get something else from them? See if you can strike up a deal for something else. And I was like, because I just don't need anything else. I've got some guitars. They're great. They're wonderful. And I just didn't see the need to acquire more. Kind of limited on space here in the little music studio / bedroom that I work out of. And I'm not someone that, I guess I'm not an obsessive guitar collector. I wanted to have instruments to suit certain needs, and I have that with the guitars that I have, my PRS guitars, and then I have like a kind of a vintage Stratocaster type guitar. I've got a Telecaster, I've got a semi-hollow, and really can cover a lot of ground with that. So I just didn't really feel like I needed another guitar, even though maybe I could have gotten a loaner or gotten a discount or something like that. And then I saw their social media posts where they released this SE NF3, and immediately it captured my attention because I was thinking that maybe I could acquire or build a new guitar that might work well for this Huey Lewis band, something that was kind of like a super Strat because it's 80s rock. I have a Stratocaster made by Bluesman Vintage Guitars, which I love. Very vintage sounding, glassy Strat single coil pickups. It's just wonderful, but it's not beefy enough or rock enough to do the 80s rock thing. I really needed something with a humbucker in the bridge position, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't run into any noise issues or hum issues or something like that. But I was thinking, well, maybe I could build kind of my version of a super Strat, maybe an HSS humbucker single coil Strat or something like that. I was kind of toying around with the possibility that maybe that would be that I might have a use for it since I was playing in this band. And so as I thought about that, there were a couple personal requirements and preferences that I had. Number one was I wanted to have some type of noiseless pickup. and something that had a fuller, more beefier sound. I didn't want that vintage glassy sound, which I love, but it wouldn't be right for the 80s rock thing. So I wanted pickups like that. I don't like on a Stratocaster how the volume knob is positioned so closely to the strings in that bridge pickup. It gets in my way when I'm trying to palm mute and stuff and move, and I don't like that. So I thought, well, what if instead of doing the typical Strat arrangement of volume, tone, tone, if I just did volume, tone, 2 knobs, and moved them away from the strings to give my hand more room. I always wanted a Strat like that. I do really like the PRS trem system, the vibrato bar. It's one of the smoothest and stablest, and so I thought I wanted something like that as opposed to a Stratocaster trem system, which is kind of known for being unstable. Well, at least the vintage ones are. Maybe some of the more modern ones are better. Anyway, then PRS released this guitar, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was thinking, what I wanted to build. It has these narrow field pickups in it, which are like mini humbuckers, but they sound very Stratty, but they're fuller, they're beefier, they work great for this rock stuff. You just heard it earlier. And they're noiseless. So boom, okay, check. It just has a volume and a tone, and the volume is moved away from the strings. Perfect, check. Of course, it's got the PRS trem system, check. Now, PRS have some guitars where they have the 5-way blade, like a Strat, which I like, but they put it in between the volume and the tone knob, and I don't like the position of that. I like it to be in the traditional position of a Strat, which they did on this guitar. Check. And then add to that it's a Paul Reed Smith, and their build quality is excellent. Quality control is really good. I like the ergonomics and feel of this. It doesn't quite feel like a Strat. The specs are a little bit different. I won't get into all of that, but you can go to the website and you can read about the difference in scale length and stuff like that. So it feels like a PRS. I like the feel. I like the neck profile. I like the body. I like the way that the heel is shaped and everything. There's no sharp edges. I think it looks cool. I like the bird inlays. And anyway, when I saw that, I contacted them and I struck up a deal. I said, look, I think I need to use this guitar. I'll use it in the band. I'll promote it. So here we are. So, and I love it and it's great. I should just take you guys through some of the sounds, shouldn't I? Let's do that. So it's a Strat, okay, but a little bit different. It's a PRS version of it. So here's the bridge pickup. So... And then if I want to maybe do something more rockin'. Okay, and then how about that quacky bridge and middle sound on the Strat? Something like... How about that middle position? That's kind of a interesting sound. Kind of cool. Here's the middle and the neck position. This is like your... Or maybe something like... how about the neck pickup? Something like, let's go to a different amp. What if I go to this and then this? That. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. It's like part Strat, it's part PRS, it's part made for, it works well for a lot of 80s rock and stuff like that. Like maybe, let me give you more, so... something like wasn't prepared to play a lot of this stuff. I'm just trying to think of stuff. Anyway, and then, of course, you know, Huey Lewis and News, so, you know. That's the bridge pickup there. Okay. I love this thing. I love the way it feels. I love the way it sounds. It's quiet. I'm really happy with it. So enough about this show and tell and this promotion. This is the Paul Reed Smith SE NF3. That stands for narrow field pickups. Got 3 narrow field pickups here. NF3. You can check it out. This is an import. It's made in Indonesia, so it's not expensive. It's $800 US. And it is insanely good. It is an absolute steal of a deal, in my opinion. But we're going to move on because today we're going to work on the song It Hit Me Like a Hammer by Huey Lewis and the News. So first things first, when I pull up this track, it's out of tune. So let me pull up the MP3 that I was provided to learn this thing. Okay, here it is. Okay, so my first thought, I hear that low note and I think, oh, maybe this is E. Oh, it's not E. Okay, it's E flat. All right. So I actually contacted the other members of the band, and I'm like, okay, it sounds like maybe this was played in E flat. Guitar is tuned down to E flat. They said, well, we play it in E. Okay. So I need to learn it in the position of E. So what I did, I'm using a software called Moises, M-O-I-S-E-S. Which you may have heard me talk about before. I love it because that's my dad's name. By the way, shout out to Moises Cerna because he just celebrated his 80th birthday this week. How cool is that? Anyway, so I imported the file into this, and this does a couple things. Moises will try to separate an MP3 by instruments. It analyzes things and it tries to separate instruments by frequencies, and it does a pretty good job of it. So it's really helpful because I can solo certain parts. I can try to isolate the guitar and listen to it in more detail. But what you can also do is you can slow it down. You can change the pitch. And when I imported it here, it told me that it was an E flat tuning, but that it was tuned to like 451 hertz, right? Well, Western music, we tune our A's to 440 hertz. So what that means is it was an E flat tuning, but it wasn't actually quite an E flat tuning. It was it wasn't all the way there. So when I just put it in E flat tuning, as I was playing along with it, I'm like, I'm not this. I can hear that it still wasn't quite in tune. So what I was able to do is transpose it to the key of E using A440, and so the software corrected it for me. So here it is in the software. Okay, so here we go. So that's my low 6-string E. Okay, we're good. So was the song recorded in E-flat tuning? Were they not quite tuned down to E-flat? I don't know. I'm not sure if they... I'm not aware. I've learned a lot of Huey Lewis songs, including some live versions of their songs, and they've always been in standard tuning. Of course, I'm using MP3s that were provided to me by the band. Maybe they corrected the pitch on some of those and I didn't know it. Sometimes in the recording process and post-production, they might speed a recording up or slow it down or do something because they felt like it needed to be a little more lively, or they might have reasons for doing that and it can affect the pitch. So maybe they recorded this in standard tuning, but then they slowed it down afterwards, or maybe they tuned it in E-flat tuning, or somewhere along the line it slipped out of 440. I don't know the reason. I know that generally speaking, most music, rock music and pop music, is actually in a key in A440 hertz. That doesn't mean it's in the key of A. So anyway, I now have this in the key that I need to play along and match pitch, and now I just got to learn my parts. I'm doing the distorted guitar, and the other guitar player said that he's going to do the clean palm muted stuff. So I don't know if I really have to do anything in this section here. Hear that guitar come in there? Yeah. I don't know if I'm doing that because he said he's doing the palm muting thing. I could just alternate the E. So they have chord changes here, and then they're pedaling on E. Maybe I do something like that. And then like the keys are doing something like... That's like an F sharp minor, a B major, and an E. So we're in the E major scale. That's the 2-chord F sharp minor, 5-chord B, 1-chord E. I'm just playing the tops of those chords. And then I'm pedaling a pedal tone here in the bass. And I'm getting this sound, which is pretty cool. That would be, you could call this F sharp minor / E, B / E, E / E, well, just E. Maybe someone might interpret those chords differently, but that's how I hear it. But I don't need to worry about those chords. That's not really my responsibility, so I might just palm mute on the low E there. I am on the bridge pickup. I am using that Mesa Boogie Mark 3. It's a pretty aggressive sound, and I did add some delay, just playing some quarter notes. I'd also point out that we have a shuffle rhythm here. This is based on triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Da, 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 da. That long, short, long, shuffle note eighth feel. Okay, well, things change here. We go from the verse into the pre-chorus. So big distorted power chords come in, so I need to cover that. All right, so a lot of this stuff I could figure out by ear, especially because I can solo this with this software program. So here we go. So pretty easy. I'm just hearing power chords. However, there's a lot going on in this song, and if there is tab or music available, I like to pull it up and just have it on hand. Sometimes I miss things. Sometimes it just makes things easier. So I Googled this. I went to websites like Sheet Music Direct, and well, I couldn't find this song, unfortunately. Then I went to Ultimate Guitar, and surprisingly, they have a version of it there. I had it pulled up. I must have accidentally closed the window. So I'm going to ultimateguitar.com. I've got the paid version. It's so inexpensive. You just subscribe in the app on your phone, and you can use it on the desktop too. You sign in, and for me, it's just it's a no-brainer. I like to have access to their best quality tabs and features and stuff, so it's totally worth it to pay for it. Okay, so they do have a version of it here, and let me play this for you. Okay, I'm listening to it in their little, MIDI web browser thing here. So now they're in E flat tuning. However, I can change that. There's settings here. I go to these three little dots at the bottom here, where there is a menu with some editing options, and I can actually change the pitch. So I'll put it up 1, which is going to be 1 fret. And now, there we go. And I can see they have some different tracks here. They've got a palm mute guitar, a clean guitar, a distorted guitar, and there's also the solo guitar, or this would be like the lead guitar. So I'm taking a look at the parts here, and I realize that I don't really need to do the palm mute stuff. That's the other guy. I may not play there, or I may just alternate on the low 6 string. We'll figure that out when we play it. But I do want to jump ahead to that pre-chorus section to see what's going on here. And I might even just solo this. So this is what's written here. I'll tap my foot for you. So they have 2, 3, 4. Is that right? I'm sorry. Let me do this again. Ready? They have. Okay, that doesn't sound bad, and that will work, but when I listened carefully to the track in isolation, I didn't hear those inversions. I didn't hear... I heard... This is kind of a key change. We've left the key of E, and now we're in the key of G. And it's the 4-chord C, 1-chord G, 5-chord D. And then I hear C to G. I don't hear C to G/B like the tab says. I listened carefully to the recording. I could isolate the tracks. I wasn't hearing that. It could work. It actually sounds fine, but I'm just going to stick with the basic power chords here. Also at the end, it goes to a B. They've got this version. And then it goes to A. They've got this version. I didn't hear those. I just heard power chords. I just heard... So that's what I'm going to play. I don't know what this version was based on. Maybe it was based on a studio recording or something, because it sounds like this is a live version. I don't know. But I'm just going to stick with what I heard. But if I did play it like it was tabbed here, it would work, and that would be just fine. Okay, so let's talk about, how do I remember this? Well, first of all, the first thing that went through my mind is as soon as I started going, I realized I'm not in the key of E anymore, okay? Because I got a G, I got a C, I got a D. That's not the E scale anymore. And because I'm familiar with keys and the harmonized scale pattern and stuff, I immediately recognize that, oh, I'm in a G pattern here. I'm in G. And I'm working with the 1, 4, and 5 chords, if you want to think of them, C, G, D, C, G, D, C, G. So I immediately picked up on that. Okay, key change. And so I see that familiar pattern using the 3 major chords in the key of G there. At least I see those chords as being based in that. But then I had to figure out, okay, but what specifically is going on here and how am I going to remember it? So it's... That's the rhythm pattern. So it's on the beat, up, beat, beat. Or I'll say down, down, up, down, down. So I need to think about that rhythm, make sure I have the chords in the right place. When I get to the D, I push into it. It comes in half a beat early there. And then from here, the order of the chords is different, but the rhythm was the same. Down, down, up, down, down. But initially I started on C, C, G, D, C, G. Then the pattern is D, C, G. But then again with the C, G at the end. So I just had to work that out, and I just had to remember that. And I just have to think to myself, okay, when I'm coming from, the E part, it goes to a key change, and I go into C for the chorus. Maybe I just think the word chorus starts with C. I don't know. I kind of see it more as a pattern on the fretboard. I realize I'm going to C. I think about from E, C is a flat sixth. E to C. So I might think about that, like, oh, that's kind of a flat 6 transition here, but once I'm on C, then my brain recalibrates to G. But I think about that. And then I just practice it. I'm tapping my foot. I'm feeling when the chords land on the downbeat and when they land on the upbeat. And I know I start on C initially. But then it's D, C, G. All right, so it comes out of this differently, and I could go to the tab here. They had these chords. Okay, Okay, I'm not hearing that in the recording. By the way, I'm using Moises in my web browser. I also downloaded the application to my desktop, but I found that the web browser version actually works better, except for the fact that it just reloaded. Okay. But the controls work better. All right, let's back this up. All right, so C, G, D, C, G, D, G, D, C. All right, they're going down from to B to A, and they're going to bring it back to E. So they cleverly connected the three major chords in G to the three major chords in E, which would be B, A, and E, and they're going to bring it back to E. So a neat way to make the chorus sound different and to have kind of a dramatic shift there, and then they bring it back. And notice how they are pushing into those chords. They're all coming in on the upbeat before the downbeats here. Up, 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 and then down on the E. And you can hear the drums emphasize that too with those snare hits. Up, up, up. Okay, so I got to get that rhythm down, so let's practice that. Whoops. Let me take this back a little farther. Up, 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 up. Wow, there's another up. Okay, I missed another up. Up, up, up. Back to E there. Okay, so I got to get that down. So that second half of that pre-chorus is... So, on the fretboard, this makes a pattern that's easy to follow. D, C, down a half step to B. Now I'm thinking about my three major chords in E. A, and I got to remember that I do the A 3 times. I can also listen to the vocals, and he's going to cue me because when he says "hit me like a hammer," that's the title of the song, and I know that that's when we're moving on back to E, bringing it back to the E power chord here. So that whole pre-chorus. Then we're going to go to E. I might come back to this later. I might figure out what the other guitar player is doing. Maybe I want to come up here and, do my power chords up higher or something like that. As I listen to this song, I'm sure that the guitars were probably doubled, tripled, sometimes even more than that, just to thicken up recordings. They do that. And sometimes, you'll have different tracks where it's the same changes, but they might be in the same position just to double it up. And sometimes they'll put one panned left, one panned right, which just makes things sound bigger and fuller and wider. Or sometimes they'll go up in an octave or something and play the same power chords. I got the important changes here. When I play this with the band, I'll listen to what the other guitar player is doing, and if I think maybe it would be more complementary to go up an octave or something, I might do that. Now, we're going to move on to the chorus, but as I learn songs, I would stop here and I would go back to the beginning. Really isn't much for me to do at the beginning, so I would go back to the beginning of this pre-chorus section, and I would play through it until I stopped thinking about it and I start to develop some muscle memory. And I actually already did this, and I made a couple mistakes. I forgot when I was supposed to push into something, or I forgot that I needed to have 3 up strums on that A before I go to E. And so I just ran it down and practiced on my own and tapped my foot, and then practiced with the recording until I fit right in with the recording. And I was no longer second-guessing things. And so that's what my process is like, and I don't like to put any more on my plate until I'm comfortable with what I've already learned. Then I'll move on. So here's the chorus. Whoops, let me back it up a little bit. So, and I could solo this guitar. Let's listen to that again. Actually, it stopped there. All right, so I can go to Ultimate Guitar, and I mean, I can listen to that, and I got an idea of what it is, but let's go to Ultimate Guitar. They have it written like this. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that it's basically going back and forth between E and A. And they're playing it like this. So I'm definitely hearing the E power chord there, and then chugging, some palm mute chugging on the open E. I'm noticing that I'm playing eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and they start right on the beat. And I kept messing this up earlier as I was practicing it. I kept going to the chugging first. I wanted to go. And my brain just wanted to do that. I'm like, no, the chords are first, then the chugging. So I had to like train myself to do that. Okay, chords first, 1 and chugging, 3 and chugging. So I rehearsed that. Then it just goes up to an A power chord. I could do that in a couple different positions. But the tablature says it did this. I'm not hearing that voicing in the music. I just heard... I wasn't hearing this on top. I was hearing this. So I'm using my ear also, and I'll back this up and you can listen to it and give me your opinion. What are you hearing on the top note? Did you hear that? Did you hear? I didn't hear it either. Okay, so again, I'm not sure what this tablature is based on. They're in the ballpark. They got the right chord, but they just had the wrong voicing. They got the C sharp on top. Not hearing that. I'm just hearing a power chord. And that rhythm on that A is like... Or sometimes there's some variation. I'm not sure that it matters. So I just had to go back and forth. Let me double check myself. Am I doing that right? Starting to second guess here. Yeah, right on the beat. 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then. Oh, wait, there's that voicing. Now I hear it. I might even hear it there also. Okay, so we got a new part here. I'll go back to the tab, and they have it written as... Okay. So I can tell that something doesn't sound right there. But they actually have the right chords here. That's A, E, B. Makes sense? 3 major chords, you know. They're basically going... there's B, but that's not the right version of B because I heard this on top. Wrong inversion. So my ear caught that. Maybe if your ear wasn't good enough to catch that and you just played this like the tablature, would you technically be wrong? I guess, but it's still the right chord. They do have a B there, and so it would sound fine, and it's really not, it's kind of inconsequential. But I heard it this way, so I might do that, or I might just put a power chord there. I'm not hearing this for sure. That D sharp. I hear it on top. Okay, and then I have to keep in mind that there's a little break there, so it's like break. And it's right in the beats. Beat, 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 and then push into that last one. So a lot of rhythms to remember here. I am thinking about the rhythms. I am actually thinking about when they land on the beat or when I push into them. I'm also becoming more familiar with the song as I listen to it and getting to the point where I don't have to always be thinking about the beats because I'm just hearing the song in my head and I'm hearing the rhythm. And from here, it goes back into another verse. And I could be out. Okay, so I don't want to waste too much time. But what I would do at this point is I'm going to review that. I don't want to waste too much time here in this podcast, okay, walking you through the whole process, because sometimes I need to rehearse a part for a while before it finally sinks in. So I would run this chorus down, see if I can play along with the recording, see if I can play unaccompanied by myself and just tap my foot, and just make sure that I really got it down. And, there could be some variation there and stuff. I want to make sure I just have the things that are critical. Do I have the right chord changes? Am I punching the right beats at the right time? Am I remembering when I come out of it and do with that rest? Am I controlling my string noise so that there's silence there during that rest and stuff like that? And once I get that down, then I'm going to go back to the beginning of the recording and make sure I can play up until that point. I got to make sure I haven't forgotten that pre-chorus section. And inevitably, I often do. I have to go back and review that pre-chorus section, and sometimes I've already forgotten it, but it'll come back quickly, and then I practice playing the pre-chorus to the chorus. I'll do that on my own and with the recording. And as I do this more and more, again, I'm starting to become more familiar with the song. I'm hearing the vocal melody, and I'm getting more familiar with, the form of the song and stuff. And I get a feel for when it goes into the chorus and when it goes into the pre-chorus and into the chorus. And it just takes time. And you just got to listen to that song and play along with it and feel it. And, I have to tap my foot and get a feel for where things fall on the beat. But this is the process that I follow. And sometimes it's quick. Sometimes I can pick up on something quickly. It's easy to feel. Maybe I'm really familiar with the song. I've heard it many times, so it's not hard for me to remember. And sometimes it takes a while because I'm not too familiar with the song, or there's something tricky about the rhythm. Or maybe the rhythm's just not tricky, but there's just something about it that I just keep stupidly messing up. Like I told you when I was learning this, I kept going to the chorus and I kept doing the, and I'm like, no, it's the other way around. But I got it now. So anyway, okay. Coming up next, we will take a look at some of the other parts. It's just going to repeat the other parts, but there are going to be some lead fills. And then eventually I want to talk about the solo and how I approach that. All right, so we're playing Hit Me Like a Hammer by Huey Lewis in the News. We've gone through the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus. And after that, it just goes back to E for another verse here. Oh, there's a little lead fill. Okay, that's my job. Let's solo that. Okay, might be helpful to... I can actually put a metronome on. I can turn a metronome on here because I need to hear, well, where was that on the beat? Okay, that helps. Or I can also, I can solo this lead guitar, but I can also solo the drums too. Sometimes I like to do that so I can hear my part with the drums. That way I'm kind of isolating the guitar, but I still know what's happening rhythmically. Okay, so I kind of recognize that movement right there. We're in E. It sounds like kind of Hendrix stuff, like... kind of major pentatonic, you know. Or you think about working in that first inversion of an E. You know? Give me 3 steps, that sort of thing. So I recognize that. But if not, I can go to the tab, and the tab actually did have this correct. So and it's the notes that it's sliding up there in the pentatonic would be part of the F sharp minor chord because matches with that. You hit right on that. There's that F sharp minor chord. And then he's out. Okay, great. But when does that come in? That's what I want to know. Got to put it in the right spot. So, 'cause this so won't last long. Okay, so we're in the second verse here, and he says, I told myself to take it easy because this won't last long. This won't last long. All right, so second verse, and this is pretty common. I need to be prepared that I'm not out. I've got some lead fills here, and it comes in that second verse. Let me back it up a little bit more. So 'cause this 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and it comes in on the and of 3. So he says the first 2 lines, and I'm in on the and of 3. I told myself take it easy. 'Cause this won't last long. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I need to practice that. 1, 2, 3. Coming in on the and of 3. I'm just saying 3, and I know I'm in after 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. He just says 2 lines. Take it easy. Oh, let me back it up a little bit more. You know it hit me, baby. I told myself, take it easy. 2, 3, 4, 1. 'Cause this won't last long. 2, 3. And it's after he finishes that. So this is really common. I have to learn little licks and phrases like this, and I do think about the timing, at least initially. Now, what happens over time is sometimes I just feel it, you know, too long. I also know I'm sliding into that F sharp at the same time, right on the beat, at the same time that the keys are hitting that. So I make that connection between this lick and what's happening in the rest of the music. The keys are hitting that right in the beat, okay? So I would tap my foot, practice that, and play it. But I do think about that, and there are many, many times in the show where I still think about those details when I perform it. The singer finishes a line, and I'm thinking to myself, 1, 2, 3. That's helpful for me. So someone had asked me that, like, do you ever count in your head? And yeah, I do actually, and this would be an example. Now, sometimes I stop doing it because I get to the point where I just feel the placement of things, and I don't need to do that anymore.
I'll be back in love and say I'll be long gone. Yeah.
Okay, I heard something similar there, and then I heard let's back that up and we'll solo that part. This is the lead guitar. So it's okay. Is that what it is? Make sure I got that right. All right, so it's not exactly the same. It doesn't go up to F sharp. It doesn't go. It goes, and there's a little bit more pickup notes ahead of that. So it's like. It's actually a couple different positions I could play that in. Let me go back to the tablature. What did they have it in here? Let's see. They have it in... Well, I got to go to the lead guitar for this one. They call it solo guitar. And I'm going to solo the solo guitar. So... Oh gosh, that's hideous. Why is that a double metronome there? Let's put the drums in here. I'm back on ultimate guitar now, so let's use the drums here. Okay, I got that. And then oh, okay, this tablature is incorrect. They went up to F sharp there. Did you see that? They went. Looks like they got the next part right. So I'm using my ear, but I'm also using the tab just to kind of help me out. Sometimes the tab corrects me. Sometimes I have to correct the tab. But I'm hearing... Okay, I'm just hearing... That's really common movement to me. Give me 3 steps. Wrong key, but so, and then from here, I might actually do this in a different position. Come down here. Puts me in better position to finish with that bend. But I also need to know the placement of this rhythmically. Does this come in on the end of 3 also? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. No, that came in on the end of 1. Did you catch that? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Gosh, maybe he did slide up there. Am I mishearing this now? So. No, didn't slide up. Is that a bend there? Maybe it's not a bend. Let's see. Yeah, I might experiment with some different positions to play this in. I've got F sharp, E, D, C. Or yeah, so I have to, sometimes I'll regardless of what the tablature says, I need to figure out where does it make most sense for me to play something, or what works best for me, or so I'm not really sure. I might put a bend in there, so maybe I'll play it up there in the same position I played that before. But I got to remember that that comes in on the and of 1 this time. So
A day or two, I'll be back in love.
4, 1,
And
2,
say I'll
3,
be
4,
long
1.
gone. And she caught my eye. I'll be long gone. Yeah. Back in love. And say she caught
I'm soloing things here.
I'll be long gone.
Oh, there's another hit there.
I'll be long gone.
Okay, so instead of it's how critical is that? Probably not that critical. I could do some variation of the lick there. I don't have to get this note for note necessarily. Okay, but I've got my fills, and I have to remember that the first one comes in after beat 3 and the and of 3. This one comes in on the and of 1.
Back in love. And say I'll be long gone.
And those lyrics are a day or two, I'll be back in love, and she'll be long gone. So sometimes I think about the words, and I know that's my cue. But here's the thing. I don't really have to think about the words. I can feel when things are moving. I know it's going to the chorus here. I know he's going to sing 2 more lines, and I know that concludes this section and it goes to the pre-chorus. So I don't necessarily have to think about the words.
I told myself, take it easy, 'cause this won't last long.
2, 3.
Day or two, I'll be back in love.
I know this verse is wrapping up here. 1. So I hear some melody there, but then I got to jump back into the chords. This is the pre-chorus. I already know this section. And we go into a bridge, and okay, we got new changes here. There's a little lead in there too. Did you catch that? And I had to work that out by ear because I looked at the tablature and they had something in there, but I was like, I don't think that's right. You hear that chromatic thing at the end? And here's the cool thing about this software. So the tablature had it different. And I was like, is that right? It was similar, but I can slow this down. So let's slow it down, way down. Just get crazy here and listen to this. So I was able to slow it down and kind of really isolate it and see what's he doing exactly. And then I can just reset this and get it right back up to normal speed here.
You know it hit me, baby. And now I can't stop this feeling I got.
All right, but we got a new section. Let's back this up. So we have that same rhythm that we had in the chorus, where it's like 1 and da, 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 3 and da, da, da. But we have some different changes here, and they're D, A, and E. So I didn't mention I got those fills previously. But before I would move on to this next section of the song, I would take things back to the beginning and play along from the beginning up until the point where I left off and make sure I'm remembering what I'm doing before I add more. So that would have been my process here. And I'll just check with the tablature, what do they have going on here? I need to go back to the distorted guitar track. And we got the bridge, and yeah, they actually have this part correct, okay? So they have it as... But there's some lead fills in there, I can tell. Uh-oh. What happened? Where'd things go? So this is the bridge. There's some lead fills in there. They're saying. Okay, so they're saying. Okay, do we think it's correct? Let's see. I will now solo the lead part here. So. Okay, close. Oh, they had it right at the end. I misread that. So they have a slide here, but I heard. Okay, close enough. So that was helpful. And this is right in the E major pentatonic. So I look at this movement, and it looks very familiar to me, and it sounds very familiar to me also. So. Very familiar. So now I just have to remember, okay, well, what is it specifically? And it comes after the E. So it's... And I'm feeling how that's on the downbeat, but the E's, there's an E. Those are coming on the upbeats. Okay, so I might tap my foot and practice that and get a feel for that. So it ends with that bend starting on the downbeat and ending on the downbeat. Okay, so I'm going to feel that. So then we get into the guitar solo. But I'm going to come back to All right, so I'm coming out of the bridge I'm coming out of the chorus. Then there was that line that went, and I'm going to either let that sustain and let the other guitar player do the, and I might just come in with the lead fill. Or maybe I double that rhythm, so I go. I might do that, so. Goes back to those same changes, D, A, E. We're kind of in AC/DC mode here. E, that was E, D, A. Well, it's D, A, E. But very common movement, you know? Desire by U2 comes to mind. So I'm familiar with these sort of changes. So it's like, okay, I get this. I've done this sort of thing before. But when we come out of it... Now you got me. It goes to B. It changes its rhythm. It's like... So I got to remember that. All right? I'm not sure if I should be playing those power chords or letting the other guy do it and I just do the lead stuff. I might just go... And it goes into like the guitar solo. And maybe I don't even do this. Let the other guy do that, and I can be switching my sounds and getting ready for that lead, so I have to plan that stuff out. So, but before I would even begin to tackle the guitar solo, I'm going to go back and make sure that and review what I just learned, and then take it back earlier in the song and make sure I can remember the other parts of the song too. So, sound like a tedious process? Yeah, it is. This is what the process is like, folks. But ultimately, I'll get this down, and I will. If I run it down enough, and I'll remember it, or at least I'm going to remember enough of it that I can perform it well. Sometimes I forget things. Sometimes there's variation in my parts because I forgot specifically what was going on. But it's okay because it doesn't need to be played exactly, you know. But I would go through and rehearse this until I stop thinking about it and kind of muscle memory kicks in and everything. When I complete the song, I'm going to make a video on my phone, or I'll just use the FaceTime camera on my desktop computer here, where I'll actually make a video of me playing through the whole recording, so that in the future then, when I need to review it, I can just pull up that video of myself, and it's like, what did I do in this again? Oh yeah, it'll come back quickly. And that way I don't have to relearn it. So that's super helpful. That's a pro tip I learned from some pro touring musicians, where every time they had completed the process of learning a song, they would actually make a video, and in some cases they would do a little mini lesson for themselves and just remind themselves, hey, the song's in this key, this is what you did in the solo, you know, and would just teach them quickly so they had something to review, because, you know, sometimes they would put a lot of work into a song for a tour, then they wouldn't play it for several years, and then it's back on the set list, and so the artist says, hey, we're going to play this again. So they're like, oh, I got to relearn it. Well, instead of going through the whole process, because you know, when you're playing a lot of music and learning a lot of songs, if you haven't played something in a long time, you may not remember it at all. And instead of having to go back and go through the whole process again, they would keep a Dropbox of videos where they could pull it up. And you can do the same thing, even if you're just someone that plays in an occasional cover band, or you play at church or something on Sundays. If you put a lot of work into learning something, make a video of it, so that maybe 6 months from now you're playing at church and that same song comes up and you're like, oh gosh, that song, I remember I put a lot of work into it. And maybe you don't remember it, but you got your video, and so you can relearn it quickly or something. Anyway, so I would practice everything that I've learned so far before I even tackled the solo. And before I play the solo, I just want to understand what's going on in the music. So I'm going to ignore the solo for now, and let me just play here. A, E. So we're still in like E, and we're doing the 4-chord A to E. Okay, now we're in the pre-chorus section. So we went to the, it's like we're in G now. Oh, okay, there's a difference. This is critical, all right? Normally when they went to that A, they hit the up strum 3 times, but here, A. See, you hear how they did it differently there? Let's listen to the guitars. What are the guitars doing? I'll isolate them. Oh, they did the same thing. Okay, just the drums were different. I can play that the same way. All right. But glad I checked. Okay, back into the chorus. So nothing new here. Oh, there's some lead guitar licks in there. I'm going to ignore those lead licks because I just want to know, what is the song doing? It's doing the chorus, but did you notice how coming out of the chorus it didn't go... Instead it went... Instead of 1, 2, 3, it went 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Oh, then they went back to putting it on the downbeats. And notice how the whole band locked up on this. So this is critical. Parts like this, I need to nail this. Did you hear that fade? They faded out of the Huey Lewis recording into a live version of the band playing this so that I could hear how they end it. That's not me, but this is what they provide for the musicians. They'll take an MP3, but they will put, if there's any changes that they do live, they'll edit the MP3. Maybe they have a different intro or a different outro, or they cut some sections in the middle. And they'll tell you, at least they say, we will play it just like the MP3. If you learn it like the MP3, that's how we're going to play it. So they're doing another guitar solo here over the chorus changes. And they ended it with that rhythm, 1, 2, and. And that's A, E, B, but it sounds like they went in the low position. I may not need to worry about that because I'm going to be doing that lead part, so maybe the other guitar player does that. Oh, and they bring it back to E, and it's a little out of tune. All right, so what do I need to know here? Still haven't tackled the guitar solo. I just want to know that when I come out of the guitar solo, I need to remember that I go 1, then I go so I'll have to rehearse that, and then sometimes I'll just run the song down and I will ignore the guitar solo just because I got to remember the form of the song and the rhythm guitar parts. I don't want to even begin with guitar solo. That's a whole bunch of other information I'm going to have to deal with. But before I do that, I want to make sure I have the whole song down. So that's my process. But we do have that solo to go. So let's take a look at that next. All right, so we're still working with Hit Me Like a Hammer. I've gone through the whole song except for the guitar solo. Let's tackle that last.
If you really want me.
It's played over the changes A to E. So we're in E. And I immediately recognize that, okay, that's E minor pentatonic stuff. Okay, this is E minor pentatonic. I know I've learned so many minor pentatonic solos, and this is very typical of 80s rock stuff. So right away, I'm recognizing some of those licks and phrases and stuff like that. And they're playing the minor pentatonic. We're in E, but they're kind of treating it like a blues. So think about like a... It's a bluesy rock guitar solo. I might add some delay in here. All right. And I would also have a lead bump too. So instead of this, which is my rhythm, how about this? Okay, but let's turn that down for now. But I have to bump my lead, and I usually put some delay on there too, just to give it more depth and widen it and have it sing a little bit. Okay, so I got the general idea. It's minor pentatonic. And as I listen to this solo, making my own judgment call here, it doesn't sound like it's super melodic, like I have to work this out note for note. It's not like this. I can't just say, oh, I'll improvise there. That melody is critical to that song. That's If This Is It by Huey Lewis and the News. That's also got a solo that is very melodic. All right, so I got to work that stuff out. Okay, I'm not hearing that on this song. It just sounds like minor pentatonic, bluesy rock stuff. But let me listen to it and see if I can get kind of a general maybe game plan together here. If I don't have to learn something note for note, if I can just kind of jam, that would be great. Let's save me some time. All right, so first thing I hear is, I've got a bend here down to the tonic pitch E, and sounds like it was like a that sort of sound where you bend one, and that's not a unison bend. Okay, I recognize that movement. Coming down to E. And then I notice that he kind of comes down the pentatonic scale and ends on like that minor third thing there. There's also some pickup notes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 1. You know? I don't need to get it note for note. I can just go. It doesn't matter. As long as I get down to, I'm good. Whatever. It kind of sounds like I'm hearing like Bon Jovi. Something like that. But that's not what he did. But he's in that position doing something similar. Something like that. Let's back it up a bit. It almost sounds like he does have a little bit of a Bon Jovi, Joe Walsh-esque voice, like, what do they call it? The talk box? Doesn't it sound like there's a little bit of that in there? You know, I probably could go into the Kemper settings and find an effect that simulates that. I'm not going to do that now, but I probably could do that. But I don't know that it's necessary. I think the sound that I have here actually would just be fine. So. Let me see if I can get the timing of that right. What is it? That comes on the beat. So and he comes back to the E, resolves it on the beat. And that's right in the beat. Okay, so I got something to work with here. I don't really need to take it any farther than that. I know where I'm starting. I'm coming down to E here, and then I'm going down the scale and getting to the minor third, and then right on the beat. Okay, so I'm putting it together kind of phrase by phrase. I'm actually pretty close to the recording. Let's see what happens next. I'll probably end up getting this one pretty close because it's not hard for me. right in the minor pentatonic, and I'm hearing it on the beat. So. Did that come on the upbeat, that last bend? I think so. Whoop, and then right on the beat, something else changes there. So. Right down, so bend up in the pentatonic, going down the scale. Something like that. Probably just like that. Oh, whammy bar action. Got to take advantage of that smooth Paul Reed Smith drum system. Okay. This is pretty easy for me. It's minor pentatonic, and it's not critical. I don't even have to play this note for note. This doesn't sound like a solo where that's just critical. But I'm very much in the ballpark here. Let me play along. How about I'll mute the guitar, and you'll hear just me playing with the track. Let's try that.
If you really want me.
Okay, I didn't play it the way I wanted to, but guess what? I just kept playing the minor pentatonic, and I came out of it, and it was fine. Let me try it again and see if I can get it closer to what we just worked out. What did I forget to do? So it's not... I forgot the... right in the beat. Okay, here we go.
You shot me, now you got me. If you really want me. Here comes this girl.
Okay, I messed up a couple things. Now I forgot what was happening earlier. So here's the deal. I can go back and tighten up my rhythm and try to copy this solo more closely to what I had worked out. Or not, because it doesn't really matter. I'm following a similar form. I'm in the right scale. I'm playing bluesy minor pentatonic licks. I don't think this needs to be note for note. So I think the way that I played it there would be just fine. So, when I get with stuff like this, sometimes I'm like, that's enough. I know what to do. Just play the minor pentatonic. I just want to make sure I know how to get into it right. And I come out of it right. So. And so if I'm going into it on time, I'm coming out on time. And if there's some variation in the middle, as long as I'm not sloppy, I'm still playing some good minor pentatonic blues licks that I'm familiar with because I've learned so many minor pentatonic blues rock solos. I should be okay. And maybe over time, maybe I do settle into something that's very similar to the recording. Or maybe I settle into something that's kind of more my own thing. It's okay in this case. But I worked out some licks. I got a game plan. I got the basic idea. So I would just practice with this. And the next step would be, hey, let's go back to the beginning of the song. Can I remember all my rhythm guitar parts? Can I get those lead fills that came in there? Can I get the solo in there as well? And then I just have to figure out, okay, what am I doing at the end of the song? There's some times when it goes back into some lead stuff. I'm not going to break that down right now because I don't think I heard anything that was critical. and it sounded like at the end of the song when they're doing the verse, I could maybe just do some major pentatonic, you know? Let's jump to the end of the song. Is that what was happening? No, it was minor pentatonic. So it's a little out of tune here at the end when it transitions into a live clip of the band. So minor pentatonic stuff. I don't need to learn what this other guitar player did. So I think I'm good. So we're going to wrap up this podcast, but how about this? I'll take it back to the beginning. I have more practicing to do, but let's see if I can get through the whole song. I'm going to tap my tap tempo and my echo, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So during this section, I could do some palm muting.
I don't like to worry about no one else. I like to be, alone and free. I'm happy by myself.
Yeah, I'm going to C, key change. Whoops, messed up already. Back to chords at E. Chorus. Back into the verse. There's going to be some lead fills here.
'Cause this won't last long.
1, 2, 3. The next one's going to be on B1. 1. Bridge here. I'll do some lead stuff there. Maybe I'll come back to that or just skip it. Oh, some more lead stuff there. Whoops. Oh, I forgot that part. And then it goes to... So I got to review some of that stuff. If I wasn't talking, I probably would have remembered it. Then they're going to kind of extend it with a little jam here so I can go back to shoot. I'm going to mute. Oh, shoot. I'm using the Moises program in my browser window, and I went to mute the lead guitar at the end there so I could just jam and do my own thing. And the browser window reloaded, and that's why it stopped. So otherwise, this is a fantastic program. Let's just cue that up. Mute that. We're at the end of the song. Oh, I'm out of tune. Okay, I can't stand being out of tune. But I know what to do there. Minor pentatonic, and at the end, I know that it's going to go. And then I'll come back to E. I'll make sure I have that ending right. I'll listen to that to make sure, are we really locking up on that? Sometimes at the end of songs as a lead guitar player, I don't need to worry about that because I'm not doing that. I'm doing something like, and I'm sustaining a lead note and the whole band goes bow. But if I am going to hit that ending, I need to make sure my delay's turned off because I don't want to go. So I hit that delay, turn it off, like that. All right, podcast episode 167 is a wrap, and now you know the process that I go through to learn a song. Seems kind of tedious, doesn't it? Yeah, it is. You know, if you want to do a good job and pay attention to detail, then that's what it takes. So, you know, I left off there with the end, but I would go back and run the song down several times. Anytime there was a spot that I was forgetting or played incorrectly, I would stop the recording, review that part, back it up, rehearse with the recording, and then, you know, keep running that song down. I would also sometimes put a guitar strap on, stand up, and pretend like I'm performing it, because sometimes you can get used to sitting down or something, and you get a little too comfortable, and then when you get up on stage, things are different. And so I would oftentimes rehearse as if I was on stage, and I would pretend like I was actually performing it on stage, maybe throwing a little rock moves and stuff like that, you know. Something else that I didn't mention is that I also have backup responsibilities, so I'll have to go through that track again and see what my backup vocal assignments are, and I'll have to learn those, and then I'll have to coordinate singing those with my guitar parts if need be. I haven't taken a look at that yet, but it sounds like I'm probably going to be responsible for singing some of those backups, the ooh parts. So, hey, that's how you do it. That's how I get prepared to learn songs and to, you know, take the act out on the road. And hopefully this answers questions. I had a lot of questions about what my process is like. So if you have any questions about this, or you've got suggestions about future podcast episodes that you'd like for me to have, just go to my website, guitarmusictheory.com, scroll down and click on the contact link. I would love to get some feedback, comments, suggestions, compliments, queries, quandaries from you. That would be great. And don't forget, while you're there, if you have not yet signed up for a free video course, answer that question that I ask you about your playing, and I'll send you some free custom video instruction that's calibrated to your current level. Whether you're a beginner or a more advanced player or somewhere in between, if you need help with a particular style or some technique or music theory, I've got a free course for you, and I can give you a plan that you can follow so you know you're going to make progress, move forward, and become a better player. So enroll in your free video course now at guitarmusictheory.com. You can click on the link in the podcast show notes. And don't forget that the way that I support this free podcast is mainly through selling my books and video courses. So if you have not made a purchase please consider making a purchase. And the more you spend, the more you support this content that I create. And also, the more you get, the more great instruction you're going to get. All right, guitar engineers, thanks for listening. I'm still Desi Cerna. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, give it a 5-star rating, and leave some comments if you can. Then keep playing and stay tuned for more.